Yeah, we're
All right. So I have pressed streaming. I am just trying to make sure that we've got this up. Let's see. Ashley, can you refresh and see that we're live?
Yeah, it says audio only, but I do hear you.
Just checking on attendance. Mark, Mark from Intel, Mark Scarpness, are you on?
Yeah, he's not listed in the attendees on the student meeting thing like he was at the last meeting.
Ashley, can you see the slides now?
I can. Awesome.
Great.
Yeah, this looks good.
And you can hear us on YouTube properly? It's not just whispers?
It's much quieter.
Yeah, okay.
all right. Well then, shall we call the meeting to order?
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. We have a quorum.
All right, so the meeting is called to order. Let's go through. Please take note of the antitrust compliance notice. All right. One of Exhibit C, which was part of the board pack, was the actual onboarding guide for the board of directors, which was approved via a vote on. Or wait, which one?
We actually skipped it.
Yeah, you skipped the June.
Yeah, the program skipped,
Yeah,
sorry.
So the June meeting minutes were approved by Dan, and could I get a motion to approve those meetings?
Yes.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right. And so those meeting minutes have been approved. Next, we have the Board of Directors Guide. That was approved via email vote, but no one had ever socialized that to the public side of the house, so we wanted to make sure that that was announced. So that is Exhibit C in our pack. It does not need a resolution according to Andy. It's just a FYI, and then to make sure that that is available on.
The go-to meeting just collapsed.
Great.
Please hold.
Is the audio meeting still going on?
No, that's what Ashley just pinged because she was kicked out of the meeting.
Right, the meeting back on. As soon as Tracy's on.
I'm the wrong one.
It's the one in.
Yeah, I put the wrong code. Yeah, my bad.
I'm back.
All right.
right.
Thanks for the notice on that, Ashley.
Yeah, no worries.
And then, did you share the screen?
I think I just made a presenter check. You're not showing up as a presenter.
I do not hear any audio.
Seems like there's.
Can you hear me now, Ashley?
I hear audio on the YouTube, but not via GoToMeeting.
Ay, ay,
That you can hear it at all kind of implies that we can move
I
forward.
believe I'm only hearing you via the YouTube, which unfortunately is like 20 seconds behind.
That's weird because the microphone is the Polycom, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just going out to their servers and coming back.
Did we redial?
I can redial back in. Let me redial this. Alright, so.
Is this a problem for other Linux Foundation boards?
I
For
think,
most boards, this is a problem.
Okay.
but I don't.
This is not uncommon.
What?
See, I watched Drupal run this pretty seamlessly. They had staff working hard on it though.
Usually the staff.
Please enter your
now
access
goes
code
and
followed by the
resets all
pound
this.
or
So
hash.
they kept going to, they kept picking the new tool of the day. Let's use Zoom. Use, you know.
To enable audio controls, please enter your audio PIN followed by the pound or hash sign. If you do not have a PIN, just press pound or hash. The organizer has not yet started the meeting. You will be
Yes,
placed
we
on hold
have.
until an organizer starts
Some
GoToMeeting.
foundations have even gone and gotten a phone system and brought it in with individual mics across everyone's
Wow.
desk in order to make sure that it works. So
So that is.
that's not in our budget.
I'm feeling like the Linux Foundation should provide that.
I mean, this was set up by the Node Foundation. I would be welcome the Linux Foundation to set something up that worked for us.
So after this, can we go try to figure out how to do it?
I'm with you.
On the technical side of the project, we've had just problem after problem. We have small groups, we have large groups. Our largest group is the CTC, which is 20 members plus observers. We can't use Hangouts. Uber Conference is horrible for our reliability.
Doesn't scale up.
We have to kind of group things together to do any kind of streaming whatsoever. Keeping recordings of the meetings actually available on those is damn near impossible. So it just there is a
Good echo. Good look.
Soundbite for later.
So can you hear us now, Ashley?
Just go.
Ashley, can you hear us?
It's a problem we need to have solved. Agreed.
Did we lose her again? Oh, I swear.
We're going to end this call and we're going to finish this on my iPhone because that seems to be the most.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound.
I don't blame you. We are back. Can you hear us, Ashley?
No, I don't have any.
Can you hear me?
Mark, it looks like you are muted on the call. There's a phone with a X through it. I can dial it on my phone and see how that works.
I am going to try it.
The phone is working fine from my end. This is Andy.
It was the Polycom.
Can you hear us now? Ashley, can you hear us?
This is Andy. I can.
Okay, Andy. All right. Are we getting it on the live stream?
Yeah, I can't tell if that's us in the room.
All right, I think we just gotta power through the end of this meeting
Yes.
and get there. Yeah, okay. All right, this is the craziest thing, and I apologize to anyone on the line who's suffering through this terrible experience, but we did approve the June meeting notes,
Okay.
and we were just talking about making the. Okay, you're reverberating back in, but I'm glad you can hear us. Okay. So the board of directors guide was a part of the board package as an FYI. We will post them to the appropriate place on Node.js .org. And any questions on that? This is just an informational. I think everyone here has been involved with the onboarding guide.
Do we have anybody that's joined that hasn't been on board? I guess we could not.
But not as a director. We haven't had a director. Okay. Next slide.
James, yeah.
Oh, I forgot all
Yes.
about you, James.
I'm
James, you have a copy now, so if there's any questions or comments, you can let us know. But you've been around so long, I just forgot about the formal change. At the last board meeting, we discussed additional travel requests from the ComCom and the TSC. The board package for the private meeting had some of the repercussions of that. James, I think that you had coordinated with ComCom now to
Basically, to
coordinate
combine it.
this.
So the TSC and the ComCom have agreed to basically have a single allocation that we are jointly administering. We have some details we have to figure out still on that, in terms of like exactly how the approval process will go. But as far as the board is concerned, it would be a single allocation request, not two. So.
And both parties are.
Yeah, we shopped it together with the TSC and ComCom. Both parties talked about it, and there were no objections.
And there's a procedure where they make a pull request to go to us, and then the committee reviews and approves.
Basically, it's a no objections type of approval. So somebody would open up a request. There needs to be some sign off before that can land. But as long as there are no objections within a time frame, then.
And we're also going to work on things like better reporting back and forth so that the committees are aware of the amount of money that's being consumed out of the allocation, as well as us figuring out, how that's working, how that's going, being reported back to the board.
And additional verification on the foundation side that the people that are actually getting the money are individual.
Yeah, because that's a privacy concern. We don't have the individual membership list published, and as part of that, that's the only way for these committees to actually verify that these folks are supposed to be receiving these travel funds. So it's an honor system where they say, yes, I am an individual member, and then it's up to myself and Nemhai to actually check on that with the individual membership list that I have access to internally. To make sure that that's the case. And if they were not members and they requested and approved or agreed to receive those funds, they will not be reimbursed.
Now, this was not a budgeted expense either. So this is a $67,000 allocation above and beyond what has been budgeted. So what we're asking for is an additional budget that would come out of a surplus in another category or go into our reserves, which were quantified in the private package. So
I will say that with Interactive coming up, we currently have more requests in pipeline than we have, remaining allocation for. So I would very grateful if we could get this.
And this allocation is specifically to fund those
Yeah,
requests.
carry out the rest of the year.
Yeah,
This
okay,
year.
for the rest of the year.
And we punted this the last time we discussed it. Something.
We wanted clarification, which was Exhibit D in the board package, and we wanted the TSC and the ComCom to be on the same page because they were making separate requests. So now,
Thanks
if
for
you,
reminding.
yeah, no, it was a whole month ago. So we have a request on the table for the additional 67,000, and we have the breakdown of what that means in Exhibit D. So I don't know if I can go into the exhibit, but it comes down to, do we want to do this? Do we have the money to do this? And what's the value? So the one thing that I think would be important is to clarify is what exactly happens when these people come
Right,
to
yeah,
the event.
so the allocations that we're prioritizing right now are, getting collaborators to Interactive, and specifically the Collaborator Summit, and sending mentors to the Code and Learn events.
Okay.
So we have one coming up at Node.js, for instance, in Ireland. We want to send a couple of mentors there, in particular Anna and Rich Trott. And there's a couple others that
Well, they're covered out of a
requested
separate
too.
allocation,
Okay.
but yeah, the mentors do need to be covered
It's
separately.
primarily the mentors
Yeah.
and the Collaborator Summit to get folks there, as many as we can. Quite a few of them are coming from international, so that's what.
And how many people do you expect to attend your Code and Learns? Just your best guess, not.
So the Code and Learn in CompU, we could have up to anywhere between 150.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good
Code and Learn,
framing
yeah,
that
no
it's a high
confidence.
value. That's what I'm getting at. Is
And if last year's interactive was any basis, we could Code and Learn there, we could have several hundred people there as well.
Yeah.
I remember there was one point of feedback on interactive, requesting that as much as possible, if folks had the wherewithal to come for the entire event, to join the entire events,
Right.
services, and just go to the Collaborative Summit and express intent to participate as much as possible.
And just just to reiterate on it, the requests that are coming in, they are not from people who have employers that can cover expenses. We are definitely prioritizing it. The allocation is for people who do not have any other means of pay.
Yeah, they're asked to request it from their employer first, especially if they're a member. It's not a requirement, but they're asked to do so as part of the guidelines for applying. And the Collaborator Summit, of course, is an incredible value. You get
Yeah.
people new and old who are coming together talking about some really important decisions that need to be made within the project.
So you guys feel like there's value to us funding this?
Oh,
Did somebody from the finance committee have a look at whether we can?
So in the board, the private board deck, I should listed that it would basically, with the surplus of Michael leaving, we had half a year of his salary that it could come out of there. Before I joined, we had upped Tracy and I had talked about this before, and Tracy's to 40 hours, but we hadn't approved that yet for the budget. But if we need to do that as well.
I mean, I'm still getting paid, so.
But which I expect would not be anything we'd object to. And then we had a hosting issue. Joyant has been paying the hosting for Node.js.org. We need to transfer that to the foundation, which is roughly $95 a month. But if we take those variances in the budget into account, we are looking at, and I'm going from memory, roughly $13,000 in the black without my salary for the year, which isn't costing us anything, and I foresee wouldn't be a problem because we're raising money. But that's how it would affect the budget. Is we would be very close to running it to the budget. by allocating the $67,000.
But would it also mean that this implies that we are in the mentor position and be able to fund it?
So, not necessarily. If we should I answer? If depending on the candidate that would take it, it would probably not. We could do less with contracting and more a full-time position. Making the assumption, and this is the assumption, is that under what you've asked me to do is run the foundation of how I allocate contractors versus employees and such that it would fall in there. But getting the work done. I mean,
the big thing is, if at all we want to make sure that we do want to hire back for that position, we should not get it.
Yeah, if you look at what Michael was doing, he was doing a lot of the executive director job and some of the community manager job, and so it's not an apples to apples head comparison. So I'm trying to figure out if we can reallocate the way we spend our resources to solve the same problem and do it more effectively. Because
leveraging the ComCom for a lot of those community interaction relationships could obviously need for having a community manager.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I mean, for the record, Tracy is doing an excellent job of helping pick up the slack with not having Michael here. So I feel really good about where we're at getting things done, but it is not the way we need to continue long term. We got to get some of these things reorganized.
The only potential area for needing more budget that I can really tease out is the education landing in October. Is there anything that you see arising in the next quarter?
So the certification should require no further allocations. We set all of that budget at the beginning of the year. The only one that I would foresee would be our internship program, and that if that were to operate similar to last year, but us doing it ourselves, that doesn't end up being money out of the Node Foundation in particular, because we end up doing a separate fundraise for sponsorships for that. Yes.
So,
since this is engaging our members and enabling us to operate more effectively across our global member base funds.
So
I'm calling this to vote.
All right, so have we discussed enough that we feel like we could ratify this?
Well, do we have to allocate it all now, or do we allocate half of it?
Well,
I just wanted to say a quick thing. I don't know, can you all hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So one thing I do want to say is, I know that the rest of this deck focuses quite a bit on marketing, and so one of the nice things about funding a lot of these people to be able to go do this is maybe not make it a requirement, but I know that a lot of people in the community want to hear more from the people who are on the CSC, the people on the CTC, the people on the ComCom, and so if more people are able to get together and work together on things, potentially we could try and get a bit more writing out of them, and we could use that, and I think that would be of intense amount of value. So I don't know, James or Tracy, if you've talked to people who receive this funding about potentially contributing back, like a Medium article on their experience, but I think that could be part of the value that we see out of this. That could be really useful.
Yeah, we can definitely follow up on that and encourage that. That would be good. To Todd's question about whether we need to allocate this all at once, I don't think so. I think we could probably do a half now, half a little bit closer to.
Closer, but it would still need to be before.
It has to be before interactive. If we did about half of this, I think it would cover our, it would more than cover our current requests, but we want to be able to encourage people to continue to request. And if we're running low on funds, I'm not sure if we're going to get the allocation.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if like splitting it into two would even, I don't know how helpful it would be, because all of this entire allocation request is really it's through, it's for the Code and Learns that all happened prior to Node Interactive, leading up to Node Interactive, and then Node Interactive and the Collaboration Summit. There is nothing further after that in the year.
Everybody's booking their travel now, so
Yeah.
Booking the travel, does it mean that we need to hand out the funds?
Sure, but we'll have to delay at least a month if we don't have the funds and people are requesting reimbursements, and that just ends up becoming difficult with people who are potentially not able to float those on their credit cards for months.
Right. And the people that are requesting this, per the purpose of the program, is we need to have the funds allocated.
More likely to have hardship, yeah.
Right. Yes.
So splitting it is possible, just not ideal.
Yeah.
So seems to me that the request should probably, because it's only 60 days away from Node Interactive. I don't know that splitting it, if it's required for us to execute Collaboration Summit, it probably is not a good idea to split it. So do you think are we inclined to have a vote on this?
I would like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you call to motion to approve the fund?
Okay. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm looking at Todd.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstaining? All right, then we have approved. I think that I put the budget resolution as the next slide, Tracy. Or we will need a budget resolution.
Yeah.
So, all right. All right, we will follow up with the budget resolution in email. And we can have Andy draft it for you. All right. Next on the agenda is the Foundation Marketing and PR report, and it was attached to the board package. Is Zibby or Sarah on the call?
Hey, Zibby's on the line. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great, Zibby.
Great. So I'll just go through this. I'll try to make this fairly straightforward and quick, because I know folks have been in the meeting for a while. But last time we spoke, a few folks on the board requested a little bit more context to numbers. So that's how we tried to pull this deck together today. This slide is just a general overview. So similar to what we showed before, just kind of the key metrics around Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and our Node.js Foundation Medium page. This doesn't include the metrics for Node.js collection, which is our Node.js community publication, because there's a bug in the system with Medium still. I can't get those numbers, but hopefully later down the line I can get them. So this is just the general overview, and then I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into how this kind of compares to last year from a Twitter and Medium perspective, and then we can get into Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Next time we have a board call, I just want to make this, smoother, and we won't get too deep in the data on this call, just kind of focusing on Twitter and Medium, and again, looking at Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube during the next call. So, Mark, if you wouldn't mind moving down.
Sure.
So in terms of Medium, we started the Medium in January of 2016, and since then we've added 42,000 new followers, which is really, really great. One thing that wanted to do in terms of just growing our Medium page, but we also wanted to grow our views, of course, and also our reads. So views essentially means someone looked at it, maybe kind of read it a little bit, but didn't do the full read of it. So Medium in each thing calculates that it will take 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes for different content to be read. So if people linger on the page for like 3-5 minutes, then they say that's a read. If it's less than that, that's a view. So just in terms of looking at kind of how we've fared since launching it, we've seen a huge increase of both views and reads. We have it so we're kind of averaging 5% growth per month. That's again based on followers as well as views and reads. And also, if you want to turn to the next one, Mark, we're really trying to kind of up our Medium posts. So a lot of our Medium posts come from the foundation itself, but we also have the Medium post for those that want to contribute to Node.js collection, but don't have their own Medium page. They can go through the Node.js Foundation. So we try to get more posts per month coming from us, as well as people outside of the Node.js Foundation posting on the site. Again, we want to make sure that the page kind of has different viewpoints, has different educational stories, because those help us with our views and our growth and reads. So we're trying to average about 3 posts per month. We've hit the mark on some months. We were a little low in June, and mainly from the June perspective, we spent a lot of time in June kind of reconfiguring our editorial review process for Node.js collection. We had previously had the evangelism working group review it, but we weren't getting as many technical reviewers on different posts that were going through that channel. So we decided it would be smart to have 1 to 2 technical reviewers review everything that folks want to post on our Node.js collection. We work with the comms group to come up with something. Simon Vincent has agreed to be our technical editor there. I think it's been going really, really well, and we've been able to review more content and just making sure that he has his eyes on it and can provide any feedback or help that someone who wants to post an article to Node.js collection, they have that feedback. I'll just make a slight plug here. People want to also be a technical reviewer. We are on GitHub, the Node.js collection, so you can always post and say, hey, I'd like to participate in this aspect of the community. Or you can also send an email at medium@nodejs.com.
Zibby?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Denise.
Yeah, sorry.
Have you looked at how opensource.com does its reviewing? Just out of curiosity.
Who does the reviewing?
Opensource.com, how they get their reviewers, because they've turned it into a thing. They've got a lot of reviewers. I mean, certainly more than any other single open source venue. And I think it's worth, since you're trying to do the same kind of thing, look at the incentives that they put in place for people that review. And it seems to be working pretty well for them. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I will definitely do that and see what we can add there and see how we can grow the reviewer base. Thanks for the suggestion.
Sure.
We want to move down to the next.
Next slide.
Zibby, one additional small request. If you could, somehow get some feedback from your technical reviewers and sort of feed that back in terms of the level of effort. I'm sure that would
be
help.
good to know when
Right.
you're doing that. But the more reviews you get, the less effort.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zibby.
Sorry, Dan, it's a little hard to hear you. What was the suggestion again?
If you can get some feedback around level of effort from the contributors as they're going through, and you're onboarding new folks, and that's the first question that came.
Yeah. So I'm going to just repeat what I think I heard you say. It's just kind of feedback on onboarding with the technical reviewers we get, and just kind of reassessing our process based on their feedback. Is that what you're suggesting, or the question you're asking?
Level of effort.
I think he's saying that before somebody can decide if they want to join, they need to know how much time it takes. So having that kind of information available would be helpful.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Definitely. And we have that in there as well, but I think too, as we kind of get more people submitting, as well as having Simon kind of calculate how much time it takes, we can have a little bit more of a solid consensus. They usually say about like 3 posts per month, so you can factor in, okay, how long is it going to take me to edit 3 posts per month? it's a little bit nebulous. So I think, again, once Simon spends more time reviewing and can get through that process, we can have more solid numbers in time so people will know what that commitment looks like. And again, hopefully we'll get more reviewers so that time will shrink and people don't feel like it's too much of their time is spent on that. So, but yeah, that's a good point and something I think that we'll probably refine further down the line too.
Yeah, I think the feedback will help too, because one thing that Zibby and I have kind of been beating our heads with is whether it's not the amount of time involved with the actual reviewing, but that the workflow might not be something that our technical reviewers are very comfortable with. It doesn't happen in GitHub, and the notification system for Medium can be very different. And we're used to filtering for GitHub notifications, but not for Medium notifications. And the edit system is not like something like Google Docs that you would see, so it can be a little awkward to see like when you're supposed to be jumping on an edit.
Maybe you guys could work that out in the marketing meeting when we're talking, or put it on the agenda for that.
We can try. It tends to be a different set of people who are working on it than the people who attend the marketing meetings.
The people that would have the technical expertise to do the reviews live in GitHub and are currently buried in GitHub notifications.
Yeah.
I mean, just keeping up with just Node core notifications alone is a huge amount of effort. So
formidable.
The cognitive disconnect between that and working in Medium is impossible to go over.
So is it not possible to edit these down in GitHub and then post them to Medium after they're done?
They can be, but it depends. Like my process for writing an article, I will write it on Medium and then submit it to the collection, and then if there's edits that need to be made, I can make that in Medium. I'm comfortable enough doing that, just because I'm more familiar with the process. If we are going out and actively acquiring new content and asking these people to write, then encouraging them to do it on GitHub first would probably be the better approach.
So, all right, well that's good. I think that we can improve that, but probably not in the board meeting. Great. Any other commentary on the number of followers, Sibby?
No, this slide just kind of shows our follower growth from January through June 2016 through January 2017. So just kind of easy numbers to see.
Great.
Come on.
Go to the next slide.
You can do it.
And I think the other.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And these are just again kind of self-explanatory. So this is looking at views, and then the next one's looking at reads. Again, I think our views and reads have drastically gone up. One, because we have more followers, but I also think because we are doing more posts, and also posts that are just beyond Node.js Foundation posts, but community posts. Again, the Node.js collection, a lot of those blogs are funneled through the Node.js Foundation Medium page, and those tend to be really, really well read. So we can kind of
with these kind of unique views, you're approaching the volume of your own media outlet, which is pretty powerful. That I think is like knowing what being on the staff of places like Java's Developer Journal and things like that back in the day. This is a really powerful outlet for us, and something that when we're, it's a good loud voice. So I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, writers.
Thank you. Yes, thanks to everyone who
I
contributes.
also just want to say thank you, Zibby. All of this data is super awesome, and all of the context is really great. And I know that it takes effort to do all that, so just thank you very much. It's great. So thanks. So again, just kind of views, reads, we can skip down to Twitter, but it's really, I agree with what Mark was saying. This is a really, really, Medium has been really tremendously awesome for us, and just a great way to engage with people and have people, respond to stuff and give their opinions. And I think a lot of users really look to go to the Medium page to learn more about Node or what's happening with new features and best practices and stuff like that. So I think it's been a really helpful channel for our users. Twitter followers, again, I'm just kind of looking back at how we've done since January 2016. So we've grown Twitter since January 2016 have a good cadence of growth with our followers, but I think what we really wanted to focus on in 2017 is engagement. So replies, retweets, likes, clicks on the tweet. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure that what we're posting is interesting and interactive for those that are following us on Twitter. We try to do a lot of educational posts, updates to technologies, that kind of information and engagement is really, really important here. So we've definitely had our engagement rise in 2017. I know we talked about this in our last board of how our engagement kind of compares to other open source projects, maybe different platforms that are seen as competitors. I've created tags for this, so once July comes around, I'll be able to do a little bit of a deeper dive on that, so we can kind of see how we might be comparing with other projects out there, and if we need to improve or if we're on track or how we want to go there. But just in comparing ourselves with ourselves, we're doing really well from an engagement standpoint on Twitter.
No, one thing that's important to keep in mind is this does not include any of the engagement from the individuals like myself that are on posting from the technical community. Like I do PSA, announcements that are extremely popular on Twitter. Whenever we have a new release, those get tweeted like crazy. One thing that I have been considering talking to the TSC about is actually having an official Twitter account for the TSC and a CTC or for Node Core for doing things like release announcements in the PSAs. So those aren't necessarily coming from an individual. I don't know if that's valuable or not.
I think that tends to dilute our brand.
Yeah.
So
wouldn't that go to Node.js?
Yeah.
They could. We would just need a process for actually doing the announcements. But the retweets, as it is now, I'm not sure who's actually doing the retweets from Node.js. Been doing a fantastic job of picking up the release announcements and the PSAs.
It's almost wholly Zibby.
Yeah.
So great job on that, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's very well curated. So, and I actually think that more James Snells out there saying that we retweet has broader reach. Reach is sort of one of those metrics that I sort of hate because it stinks, but relatively it's good. I think we have exceptional reach with our tweets. But
in terms of having this come from the individuals instead of Twitter, I think it's actually a good thing that it comes from the individuals working on it.
Yeah.
It shows the humans behind that are actually doing the work. It's that face on it.
Well, I think that's something that Zibby covered in the past year was like our top influencers and sort of seeing was that something you did, I thought, Zibby? Was it Twitter?
Twitter influencers?
Yeah, or I thought it was like sort of like it was like folks in Node who were tweeting a lot of messages around Node, like James.
Yeah, I actually curate a Twitter list of the top Twitter influencers under my Twitter account because I follow them pretty heavily, and it requires machine learning, human intervention in a large scale. But it was really amazing when you spend the time.
It would be interesting. We don't have to dwell on it much longer, but it would be interesting to see if just among the collaborators that are on Twitter, if we could, find some way of drawing more attention to all of those collaborators and stuff they're talking about. So if we need to do a better job of collecting who those people are and what content they're providing, then we can look at it.
Yeah, so we'll work on that. We're running close to time, so could you go to the analysis of the Twitter followers, because I think it's pretty. The growth is impressive.
Yeah, again, this is just kind of how quickly we're growing, and it's just a comparison of what we were at in January to June. And again, I think that a lot of this is just trying to be better curated as a social handle. So making sure I get all the alerts on GitHub when new releases are out. I am trying to follow most people on TSC, and I have an influencer list and trying to, they do. But again, I think Twitter followers have just skyrocketed. A lot of our followers are coming from the U.S., but we also have a lot of new followers coming from South America, which I find very, very fascinating as well. So it is still pretty U.S. heavy, but we are getting some global followers for Twitter.
The way we
Do you have to?
in the survey we broke down, Latin America is our third most active geography after China and the U.S.
Brazil and Argentina and Colombia have a lot of love for Node.
We're starting to see a lot more contributions from South America.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they were actually wanting to run a code and learn too, so it's definitely like requests for that sort of thing.
All right.
And there's huge user groups down there. There's huge user groups in Java as well.
Yeah.
Massive Java user groups.
Yeah. So, any comments on the engagement, Libby?
No, just again, kind of looking at how engaged our users are. We've been able to grow month over month. The 1 month where our engagement was actually lower was January, and that was because in December 2015 we had Node.js Interactive, and so we had a lot of video content come out in January of 2016, and video content ends up doing really, really well. A lot of people are very interested in the videos that we produced out of Node.js Interactive. They do well on all of our social channels, so that's kind of why our January 2017 numbers are a little bit lower. But again, we're increasing engagement every month, month over month, which we think is really, really good. And that has a lot to do with, one, the growth of our followers, and again, just kind of fine-tuning our channel to include a lot more voices outside of the Node.js Foundation with our Medium publication and such.
Okay. And then, great. The next slide, Tracy. I think someone had brought up last meeting about whether or not how we ranked versus other languages. I tried to take a cross-section of just followers just to give us a sort of measuring stick on how we compare. So Java, .NET, Rust, Rails, etc. as a comparison to the Node.js followers, and then threw in the ASF and Linux Foundation.
Twitter's not the way that talks to each other
Yeah.
themselves. So that it's I'm sure that's true of some of the others.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, that was just to give everyone an idea of how we rank. And actually, I was having a hard time finding anyone that had more Twitter followers than us in open source, but I wasn't trying to stack the deck. It just we were high up there. But
We've done some analysis of this on Twitter as well across like various cloud providers and look at how different things stack up. And even for companies where you would expect other languages to be higher, surprisingly Node is at the top.
yeah. Can we have the next slide? Is there anything that you wanted to bring up, James, for the public agenda?
CSC, no, we already covered the allocation request. Next board meeting, I'm gonna try to get some numbers in terms of how we're doing just with the collaborator community and growth and contributors and that kind of thing. So other than that, I think we're good for right now.
Okay. And did you have an update on certification, Tracy?
Yeah, my notes are, okay. So currently and this week, we are meeting with the proctoring group to integrate, to see the demo for the integration. So we've got the registration system integrated with HackerRank to be able to actually see the demo for what the exam looks like. And now is the integration fixes with the proctoring layer, because there was a lot of conversation and planning around that, but without having the HackerRank and LF systems integrated, we sort of nothing we could do with the proctoring team. So that's happening this week. Alpha testing begins right after that, and we're going to have multiple phases of the alpha testing. And that's because we want to be able to test for the user experience with the exam itself, but then also with the questions and how they're coded. And then we'll move on to the beta testing. So, yeah. And we're still looking for beta testers, so feel free to email me or open an issue. We've got issues open on the public repo for the certification, and you can find links to that with the education repo as well. Yeah.
You're looking, what sort of beta testers?
Yeah, so the alpha testing is too small, so we don't really, it's not too small. It is small. We don't need anyone else volunteering for that, but we are looking for beta testers, and if you sign up for the beta testing phase as a candidate, there is the possibility, if you participate in the beta, you can certify from that. So you do have the possibility of certifying. You're not just a good contributor. What we were looking for, there's a screening process involved in terms of we want to make sure that there's different types of people who are signing up for it, so I need to have more background information, so there's going to be a form so that I can gather that data. Initially, and what I had been gathering thus far, people were giving me that information via email. So I have a list of beta candidates, but we'll need more. Probably another 20. Yeah.
And where should we direct them? Direct them to you?
Yeah, you can direct them to me and also the certification repo.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. Are there any other topics that anyone thinks we need to cover for the public meeting?
Oh, I also wanted to mention, sorry, just regarding education, Code and Learn JSConf China. We're going to have a report back on that next month. So it was really fresh and they had just returned. And we were trying to get a little more information from the organizers as well so that we would have data around that.
Is that Joy from Alibaba that organized that?
She didn't organize it, but she was, I believe, a mentor at the event
Awesome.
along with Anna and Rich and Brian.
I've heard from a couple of the they expressed their thanks for us doing that.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Any other topics that we need to address in the public meeting?
Maybe, sorry, hold on just one
I
second.
think we can adjourn unless we have any objections to that idea.
Hold on just one second. I just want to make sure, since I don't have access to my notes, that.
Just checking.
I should ask Ashley how the live stream.
Ashley, I saw. Oh, are you there? Cool.
I'm here. It just takes forever to unmute when I'm on my phone. So somebody asked to please tweet the link of the certification alpha beta testing form.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds like this might have been a good call. We might have some people interested in helping you out with that, Tracy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there are no other questions.
Thanks, Ashley.
Great. All right. So going once, going twice. Everybody's good with adjournment, then I say we adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.
Right, we are still alive. Hold on just a sec, sorry.